All right. I think I'm sharing my screen and I'm not on mute and it's recording. Okay, so the scenario we're gonna do is we're gonna have developer A. We're gonna have developer A kind of just work through Git by themselves. Because Git, I mean, if you've ever saved your code off in a folder and timestamped it, or like named the folder version 1 or some underscore some description of what your change was, that's essentially what Git's doing for you. So you can use it by yourself, and that's totally fine. So we're gonna go through developer A, just staging, committing, and then go through that. And then we'll bring in GitHub, and we'll show developer A pushing his or her code to GitHub. And as a way, so this is good for backing up your code. I'm paranoid of my computer crashing, so having it on GitHub or somewhere else just makes me feel safer. So this can be used as a backup. And then lastly, we'll throw in developer B, and we'll show how developer B and A can be collaborating on the same code. And that'll hopefully go through the most typical use cases of Git, and that should do it for this demonstration. All right, so start a new window. And let's go bring this in here. All right, so we'll make a new folder called demo. And this is where we'll start. Okay, so we need a folder, so we'll call this one developer A. And we'll open that. Here. And it'll be empty. So we're gonna just initialize our Git here. So command line, you can do git init. And so it's a hidden folder. Oops. And all Git is, everything needed for Git is in that .git folder. So we were to remove it. There'll be no more Git. And you would have to kind of like start over. So I'm gonna do it again using the command line. I mean, using VS Code. So going back to developer A, there's no .git folder. We are going to open that folder. Okay, and it's empty. And we're gonna initialize this repository, and we should hopefully see the .git folder pop up. And then one thing you need to do is configure your Git to use a name. So one thing I want to show here is .git has a config file. That's this folder here, a file there. So right now it's kind of just plain. If I want to add my name to it, oh, I should be developer A. And I check that file again, you'll notice that it's added here. So if you didn't want to use the command line, you could just edit that file directly. And then the other thing they kind of require is that you have an email. So dev a add okay. So if we check that file again, that's all I did. Okay, so that's kind of like setting it up. Other than that, I normally stay out of this .git folder. So here we're gonna add a new file. And so I'm gonna hide this .git folder now, since we don't need it. So here's our file. And if you check here, I'm gonna delete this file. That's a Mac specific thing. And there's a way to ignore this in Git with the .git ignore file. If you're interested, let me know. I can show you how to do that. I don't want to go over that right now. So here, this is considered unstaged. First we need to stage it. That's the first step. And then we'll commit it. So this is an extension you might want to install. Oh, there's no commits. Yeah, so there's no commits yet. So the extension is called Git Graph. I think that's a useful one to have. So right now there's no commits. We are going to then commit it after we've staged it. And you need to normally have a message. And so one of the things is you want to, in your message, you want to say why this commit is important, like enabling a feature instead of just explaining what it did. Right now I'm saying add file 1, but people can just look through the commit and know that you added file 1, so it doesn't really add any information. So it's like commenting your code. You want to answer why you're doing it instead of what you're doing. The code should answer what you're doing. So just FYI, and then this checkbox is how you commit. And once you commit, you'll see it here. So now I'm going to do the same thing from the command line. I'm going to say file 2. That's as big as I can make it. Sorry. You can complain to Apple. So here now I'm going to add it using the command line. This will add everything that's not staged. But I want to add specifically file 2. And that in essence stages it. And then when I'm ready to commit, git commit, M stands for message, add file 2. So again, horrible commit message, but it's for this demonstration. So here is the first commit. Here's the second commit. And if you wanted to know what changed, there's more information there. And this DS store is always going to be here. So I'm just going to go through how to ignore it for now. So Git recognizes this git.git ignore file. Oh, I shouldn't use the command line. So you can just create one here. And you can tell it to ignore anything with DS store. And always remember to save. I've seen that bite a lot of people. So now, once we commit this ignore, because this ignore file is there, Git already knows to kind of not show you that there's a DS file. So if I were to rename this Git would then try to track this file for you. And Git status is how you would do the command line version. All right, so let's have it be a proper ignore file. And then we'll commit this, ignore Mac OS files. So that's the reason, right? That's a better commit message. And then now we don't have to worry about DS store popping up. Okay, so that's kind of how you would save something. And you'll notice that we have 2 files. So now I'm going to remove one of them. Oh, yeah. I'll remove the first file, delete it. And then I'm going to commit this. Okay, so here we're going to show you the power of Git, right? If you ever wanted to get back that file, say you accidentally deleted it, and that was unintentional or that's bad, it broke the application, you can revert back. So you can just check out, and then your file will come back. So that's the benefit of Git. So then you can move back and forth in time of your application. So if something breaks, you can go back to a time when it worked. So if I want to go back to the head, then file 1 will be gone again. Okay, so to do the same thing on the command line, I'll give it the commit hash. So you only need like the first few characters. And here we've reverted back, and you'll see that the circle indicates this, and our file 1 is back. And if we check out to either the commit SHA or the master branch, it'll come back or it'll go away. So that's kind of how you would do it by yourself. Another benefit of Git is you can use branches. So if you want to try something, we can create a branch. So we can namespace it as feature. Try something different. And it'll create a new branch. And from here, you can, if you start committing, you'll be committing on this branch. So if we wanted to modify file 2, line 1, line 2, save it, and we'll try that. Adding lines to file 2, commit it, and here you'll see that the branch has moved on beyond master. So let's do that. File 3, line 1, line 2. And again, we'll commit it, adding file 3. And it's continuing to move. So if after trying something you don't like it, you can just go back, check out back to master, and your file 2 won't have the changes. So you can try out something. If it doesn't work out, you can go back. So that's one of the great things about Git. But say you do want to keep it. So you want to merge your feature back into master. So how you do that, so you can go this way, merge into current branch, and the current branch is master right now. You can also go here, merge branch. So we're going to merge this feature branch into the master branch. So let's do that. So here, file 3 is included into master, and you'll see the lines included. So this is one thing that I don't know how to do in VS Code, but I like in the command line. So after you're done with the feature, you normally just delete the branch. And I'm going to go through the same thing from the command line. So I'm going to switch to a new branch, create a new one, another feature. This time, I'll create a file 4. And then I'm going to commit this. So I feel like the command line is faster too. Okay, so I staged it. I'll commit it, adding file 4. I'm going to add one more commit so it's more evident. So I want to add everything. Okay, so here it moved up, and now I'm going to merge it, but this time I'm going to use the command line. And I think there's a way to do this from the UI, but I don't know. I found it once, but I couldn't find it again. So again, make sure you're on the branch that you're merging into. So last time I checked out to master using this UI user interface feature there. but this time I'm going to go through the command line. So I'm going to switch to master. The bubble goes to the master branch. Now I'm going to merge the feature, and I'm going to add this flag, no fast forward. And you'll notice that this time, you normally have to save that. It'll kind of like keep this this structure, whereas the first time we merged, it kind of like blended it all into one line. And I like this no fast forward because you know when a feature ended. So you know that these two commits are related to one feature. Whereas when we did it the other way, now I don't know which was part of that other feature that we had worked on. So that's food for thought. That's to me that's useful. But you don't need to do it. And if there was another commit on master, you wouldn't have to do it from the command line. Even the UI would do it for you, because it can't just lay on top of a commit that's already on master. Okay, so that's kind of how you would use it on your own. Again, cleanup is good. You don't need that branch anymore. So even working by yourself on your own, Git is kind of I find it extremely useful. But now we're gonna bring in the GitHub into the picture. Actually, before that, one more thing I want to show you. So say I want to make a edit in the middle and one at the end. So this is why staging is important, because you can actually choose which one to merge. So you can stage one. So the in between is staged, whereas the end isn't. So you can commit just the in between. Okay, and then if you decide that this change is not useful, you can discard it later. I think you can actually do that right here. You can revert. Like, oh, I don't really need to. This line of code isn't that important, so I'm going to revert it, and your file 3 won't have that change at all. So I'm not sure why it's still showing up here. Maybe there's a new line. But okay. Yeah, so now I finally caught up. And I'll just go through how to do it from the command line. Add in between two, add at the end. Do the same thing in command line. You would add, you can specify the file, and then -p is the patch. So show you what you want to add. And if you do S, oh, not patch, I think P was hunk or chunk or something. Oh, so it's too close together. Let me put it farther away. So now I can just stage just the in-between and then not commit the end. So same results. And then save changes say specific changes using command line. All right. And if I want to throw away that change from the command line, I can just do this git restore. And that'll go away. All right, so that's another feature. You don't need to commit everything wholesale. You can select the changes. So now I want to demonstrate how to push to GitHub. Any questions, comments so far on that? Okay. What am I doing? Okay. So I don't need this anymore. Okay, so I want to create a new repository. How did I name it last time? Oh, not that one. Okay, so I'm going to name it Git Demo 2021. Make this public. I'm going to keep it blank. So here we're creating an empty repository on GitHub. And our code is still on a local machine, and we have to push it up. In order to do that, you can add your origin like this. And then push to the origin. So origin is considered GitHub. But because I want to show you using VS Code, I have to figure out how to do it. So I think you add a remote. GitHub is considered remote. Provide the URL. So here's the URL. Okay, I'm debating whether to use the SSH or the HTTPS version. If you have SSH keys set up, then yeah, I'm just remembering if I set up SSH keys or not. But we'll try HTTPS and see how it goes. And then you have to give it a name. So here is calling it origin, which is a very conventional thing. So I'm going to call it origin. And right now it's still empty. So now we're going to ask it to push to it. Push to origin. And we'll see if it asks my password or not. Okay, so it looks like it did it. So if I refresh, here's our code. So that's how you use GitHub kind of like as a backup. If your computer crashes, you still have the backup here. You can just clone it down, and you're safe. Okay, so you'll notice that master has an origin here, because now not master is your local master on your development machine, and origin has a master, and these two masters should always be together. Otherwise, your branch has diverged, and then you need to fix that. But they should always be together, or and if they're not, you should push it, make them together as soon as possible, and that's where the collaboration comes in. So maybe I'll stop the video here for now to see if there's any questions, and then I actually need to take a break. That was long. So, okay. Stop recording.